Hey music makers, today I want to go over the room correction software called Reference, and it's made by Sonarworks. They're out with version 4 right now, and it's a fantastic software for any one of you who don't have an ideal mixing environment to work in. So what I mean by that is if you have speakers or monitors that aren't maybe ideal in terms of accuracy, if you have if you're placed in a room that isn't the ideal shape or size, as well as any improper acoustic treatment, all of that can be somewhat tamed by this software. It will actually do a calibration of the frequency response curve for the entire spectrum, and then in the analysis of that, it will actually equalize your monitors so that it can combat that. I've had this software actually honestly for the last 2 years or so. I just moved spaces, so this is something I haven't done yet in a while, and it got me back into thinking about maybe I should use this more. So this is a good time to talk about my experiences with this and some insights into that process. So to get reference for it, you can go on their website. I think it's selling for 299 euros right now. There is a smaller package just for headphones, which is great if you are working in a very small space and speakers probably won't even be an option. So, however, the big bread and butter is the actual monitor correction software that calibrates the room with a reference mic that it comes with. So the way it works is you open up the software, you get your mic set up, and then you point the microphone ear level to these the monitors in different positions. It'll actually do some sonar calibrations, I guess, just like how a bat would use sonar to know where they're at in the room. It does that, and it actually will show you in real time how the mic is moving. And what you'll do is you do that probably like 38 times, something like that, where it'll play these funny sounds, kind of like Space Invaders old classic arcade sounds. And then from there it'll plot the curve. Once you see the curve, you'll get to learn about your room a little more. You get to also learn the relationship from the room and your monitors. For instance, my monitors are kind of old. As I use a Mackie HR624 speaker. It's 6.5 inches diameter. Not so great in the low ends, but I like it, and it's been through a lot of different tracks I've made in my career. But I've noticed that there were some interesting things about it. So here's actually my graph that I'll show you over here, and we'll analyze it together. So from the low end, you'll see that there's a sharp roll off around, let's see here, 40 or 50 even hertz, and then it goes back to a normal range around, it looks like 80 or 70 hertz, and then goes back down. And you'll notice that on the and this is the blue is the right and left speakers independently from each other, and there's definitely unevenness that's going on there. So these are old monitors. That may happen. I might have to get new monitors eventually. Also, you'll see that dip in the curve in that bell, and it goes down about -6 to -9, I want to say, maybe -8 decibels on the 100 hertz range, and it goes back and inverts again about 6 decibels upwards where 150 and 300 hertz are. So that's alarming to me. We make our mixed decisions based on our speakers, and if we're going back and forth on a track and we think it sounds good, you want to test it on some other systems, and that's something I do, but I think it would be nice to have a more accurate image to begin with, and as you do it more, you'll get to hear the difference too. We also have the mids, I want to say, starting around the 800 kilohertz or 800 hertz to where the presence is around 10 hertz and even and higher. There's a bunch of dips that are happening, and that's alarming too. I think that is attributed more towards the room. I actually have a bunch of Auralex 2 square feet foam that's in front of my wall here, and I think that attributes to that because it sucks in a lot of those low mids, and it does it pretty evenly, you can see. But you know, that's not ideal if you want to get your mix to sound a lot more sharp and present in the mix. And so I think I've been overcompensating and making it more high ringy sounding than it should. That's just my theory, but I will see and put that in practice in the next few months. You know, along with the room and the EQing of your monitors through this software, there are other things to think about, of course. And I'm not a acoustician, so to speak, but I've learned certain problems such as flutter, echo, room modes, comb filtering that can happen inside your room. And the whole reason why I have the Auralex to begin with is actually to address the flutter echoes in the room. Flutter echoes is if when you clap and you can kind of hear the metallic echoing that happens. So the foam helps with that. It actually gets rid of that ring, but at the same time it sucks in a lot of those upper mids. And so what the program has done is to effectively hear that, calculate it, and combat it so it's back to a flat level again. I think this is great stuff. It may not be 100% accurate, but it is in the right direction, I think. So here's one track. This track here is called Dungeon City. And the Dungeon City here is something I just wrote recently. So what I'll do is I'm going to play you the version back to back, and I'll bypass it and go back and forth on that. Here we go. So you can hear the difference there. When it's enabled, there's a little more life, or actually a lot more life, and I can also hear a lot more details in the lower end and in the room sounds of the mix. When you turn it off, everything kind of sucks the life out. It's drastic when you're doing that. It's almost like just putting an EQ and a master and EQ on the whole entire thing, and that's the whole purpose of this, is to give you that accurate image right away so that it doesn't mess with other inaccurate decisions down the road. Let's see here. Here's some other insights to the software I think you guys will like. So up here, you have the enable button, and you can bypass it just by clicking. And then also with this type of software, it does introduce latency. if you want to get rid of any type of phase shift issues. So if you're familiar with phase shift and pre-ringing, that is a phenomenon that happens when you are EQing something within the same source, and it actually will mess with your ears, and it's not good for your ears. And so what you want to do is you want to ideally do linear phase on the filter, but it does introduce quite a bit of latency. So the mixed is kind of best of both worlds. You can also get rid of the latency by doing zero latency, but you will hear the phase shift and pre-ringing. So maybe mixed is the best. As a side note, if you are a film composer and you're trying to sync your music to picture, keep that in mind. Get rid of the latency when you are composing, or what you could do is get rid of this program altogether and only put it back in when you're mixing. Also, there's a cool dry wet slider, and I can select 100 if you want the full processing, but it's good to have parallel EQ going on here. So I set it around 90. That way you get maybe just a hint of that. Also, I just clicked on it, but this is a gain knob. It's going to actually clip if you have it down up to 0 decibels. So you actually want a little bit of gain reduction when you have the software on, just so it doesn't clip. There's a mono button as well, and so on. So there's all sorts of goodies on this. The Bear Dynamic headphones is also something I use, and you can see in the curve here that there's issues with that in regards to the presence of the mix. You can see there's a huge boost in 6 decibels, around 6 kilohertz to about 10, and also a steep drop off point in the lower end, which is common in most headphones. So the headphone side is really cool too. Going back to the speakers, you can see how this might help in your next mixing projects. So I hope that helps you guys consider getting something like this. Reference is great. Runs again for €2.99. Just so you know, I'm not affiliated with them or anything, but I give it a big thumbs up in terms of how that can elevate your game. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have any questions, let me know your thoughts on this whole situation. I know I didn't really address things like flutter echo, room mode, and comb filtering. That is also a room issue, and this software doesn't really address that so much. So it's not the end all be all, but it's a good step in the right direction. Alright, and also don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and I will see you next time.